Hello and welcome back. Today we have Platinum Review number 12, God of War Ascension. God of War Ascension is a third-person, hack-and-slash action-adventure game with platforming and puzzle-solving elements. Released in 2013 for the PlayStation 3, it is the 7th game in the God of War series, although chronologically it takes place before all the previous entries. Developed by Santa Monica Studio and published by Sony Computer Entertainment, this prequel focuses on Kratos' journey to break his blood oath to Ares, and is the final performance by Terrence C. Carson as the voice of Kratos. Personally, I played this on the red God of War Ascension Special Edition PlayStation 3 console. The game begins with a brief introduction to the Furies of Greek mythology and their role in punishing those who break a blood oath.
In the time before the Titans, before the gods of Olympus, a great battle was waged. The wrath of the primordials. The very beings who forged the earth. Raged out of control for an eternity. And from this rage, this madness of war, the Furies were brought forth. Neither Titan nor God, mortal nor shade, the Furies were bound to no one. For they were the guardians of honor, the enforcers of punishment, the bane of traitors. When Zeus came to power, he found he had little to fear from the sisters. The Furies sought retribution only for those whom they deemed guilty. The first of these traitors was Aegean the Hecatoncheires. When the brute pledged a blood oath to Zeus, only to later betray the king of the gods, the Furies were quick to take action. The sisters relentlessly hunted Aegean, and upon capturing the creature, tortured him without mercy. For the Furies believed death was too kind for this oath-breaker. Aegean the Hecatoncheires became an example to all. A special symbol for those who might think to break a blood oath with a god.
Kratos finds himself at the mercy of the Furies, bound and tortured for breaking his oath to Ares. Megara, one of the three Fury sisters, proceeds to taunt and strike Kratos, still bitter over losing her arm to him previously.
What's wrong? You seem confused, Kratos. Having trouble remembering our special time together? But then again, we were rudely interrupted by my sister. Alecto was never one for manners.
This inadvertently sets Kratos free, and he immediately attacks her with his badass as always Blades of Chaos. As she sends her parasitic minions at him, the player is reacquainted with the basics of combat, utilizing quick, heavy, or physical attacks. While attacking, a combo meter will display on screen, and defeating enemies will release red orbs used for upgrading weapons and abilities. In the midst of battle, one of the parasites takes control of a nearby prisoner, and a new, more fierce enemy confronts Kratos. The player is now introduced to another combat mechanic, Grapple Tether, which can be used to throw enemies or hold them in place and beat them down. During the course of battle, certain enemies will drop world weapons, such as a sword, which Kratos can then pick up to use or discard in a violent attack. There are 5 different world weapons throughout the game, and all must be used once for a trophy. When enough damage is done, a finishing move can be performed, which is an epically brutal kill. As Kratos attacks enemies, his rage meter will fill, which allows for additional moves when maxed out. After a while, Megara will summon the Hecatoncheires, and a boss fight ensues.
We will see how you fare against the Hecatoncheires!
Here, the player must evade incoming attacks and counter accordingly. Eventually, the boss will be stunned, allowing for Kratos to follow up with a powerful attack, complete with quick time prompts. After an intense and epic battle, Kratos emerges victorious and continues his pursuit of Megara. Now, the player is introduced to another new mechanic, as Kratos slides across crumbling wreckage and debris, until landing in the sewers below. From here, he must make his way back to the surface to find Megara. This introduces the basics of climbing, as God of War Ascension will have many instances of platforming. Throughout his journey, Kratos will encounter various types of chests. Red contain red orbs, green contain health, and blue contain magic. He will also discover objects that serve as lore for extra background story content, as well as some unique artifacts. Artifacts allow for special modifiers that can be accessed once the game is complete, such as infinite rage mode, but using these does disable earning trophies. and are more for an overpowered, fun-filled New Game Plus playthrough. All artifacts must be found for a trophy. At any point in time, the game can be paused to show all available moves and combos. Using red orbs will level up the various weapons and unlock additional attacks. Kratos continues to fight his way through the prison, which is the Hecatoncheires itself, having been transformed by the Furies as punishment for breaking an oath. Kratos eventually reaches a room filled with temptation. Inside are half-naked women who try to seduce him and distract him from his goal. However, he soon realizes that this is just an illusion from another Fury, Tisiphone. As he attacks her, Megara returns, knocking Kratos to the ground before fleeing and summoning more minions. She then inserts her parasites into the Hecatoncheires again to mutate and animate the massive body. Kratos must battle this once again, culminating in its defeat and him finally getting his hands on Megara. Without any help or protection, she is easily defeated, and Kratos reclaims his stolen treasures.
Focusing only on the task ahead, Kratos struggled to remember the weeks prior to his imprisonment. To the time when he set out to break his bond with Ares, the god of war.
The game then flashes back, as we see Kratos 3 weeks earlier. As Kratos sits in chains, Orkos approaches, but Kratos is in no mood for him. Despite this, Orkos provides Kratos with lost treasures to help ground his mind and combat the illusions of the Furies.
I believe these belong to you. Use these items to steal your mind, Kratos. Do not let illusion deceive you. Have the visions ceased?
I see only you.
Good. You will need this skill for the path ahead.
And what path is that?
The path of freedom, Kratos.
Although he himself is a Fury, Orkos wishes to help Kratos and explains that to gain freedom from Ares, he must seek the Oracle of Delphi, Aletheia.
You waver from sound mind to illusion in the beat of a heart. Is that any life for a great warrior? The Furies are near. They cannot know I speak with you. I will draw them away. The truth waits for you in Delphi, Kratos. Seek the Oracle.
Kratos then heads for Delphi, but first encounters 2 new types of chests. These white chests contain Phoenix Feathers, which will increase available magic with every 5 found, and Gorgon Eyes, which will increase maximum health with every 5 found. These are hidden throughout the various regions, and both health and magic must be maxed out for the platinum. However, there is some wiggle room, as not every feather or eye is required to reach the max level. It is best, though, to explore every nook and cranny of the map before moving on, as some of these are well hidden and often locked behind a puzzle. In addition, once your stats are maxed, finding another white chest will now reward a massive amount of red orbs, so it is very useful to get all you can. The extra red orbs will go a long way in fully upgrading Kratos, which is a requirement for another trophy. A guide can be used to ensure you don't miss any chests if needed, but again there is some leeway. Kratos then fights, climbs, and puzzle solves until discovering his first magical ability, the Fire of Ares.
For those who seek the truth, the heat of Ares' fire has no burn.
Along with a new magic meter and special attacks, Kratos unlocks the Rage of Ares when his rage meter is full. When defeating an enemy with the Fire of Ares, gold orbs will drop, which will refill the rage meter. Red orbs can now be used to level up magical abilities, which provide even more new attacks with each level increase. From here, the journey continues, with the usual platforming, killing, and climbing. Kratos then discovers another magical ability, the Ice of Poseidon. This allows Kratos to summon ice to break enemy blocks, and yields large red orbs when defeating frozen enemies. In addition, this now lets Kratos breathe underwater. A big difference between God of War Ascension and the previous entries is that the basic magic attack and rage attack is not always available from the start. While it was for the fire attack, with ice and the subsequent magic learned, it isn't until later levels. After a while, Kratos reaches a giant mechanical snake that he rides to reach a large electrical tower. He makes his way to the top, which overlooks the Temple of Delphi. Before he can reach it, he must defeat more enemies. This unlocks part of the tower, but he must ride within the mechanical snake once again to reach the next section.
For those who have eyes to see, I offer the lightning of Zeus.
Within the belly of the python, Kratos discovers yet another magical ability, the lightning of Zeus. This electrifies enemies with quick attacks, and yields blue orbs when defeating them. Kratos fights along the snake until it reaches the final electrical tower. He climbs to the top, where he must do battle with the Manticore, a flying and fire-breathing enemy. Taking it down finally allows the full unlock and access to the Temple of Delphi. Inside, more enemies await, including a fearsome Cerberus. As he progresses, Kratos encounters a strange statue, which emits a green mist. Approaching this sacred mist seems to slow down time itself, allowing Kratos to smash through decaying doors to reach previously inaccessible areas. This opens up a whole new puzzle-solving mechanic in which Kratos must utilize the mist to move forward. With the use of this green mist, Kratos uncovers the final magical ability, the Soul of Hades.
If you search for truth, the souls of Hades will aid your quest.
This releases the souls of the underworld to do your bidding, and will release green orbs when defeating enemies. After intense puzzle solving, platforming, and combat, Kratos finally reaches the Oracle's chamber. However, standing in his way is Pollux and Castor.
Raise your offerings for Aletheia. We will decide if they're worthy at our will.
I offer nothing.
You presume to seek audience with the Oracle, and yet you bring no offerings? Bold. Stupid, but bold.
They take the offerings intended for the Oracle and deem Kratos unworthy of passage when he offers them nothing.
I have come to see the Oracle, and that is what I intend to do.
I would have liked to hear your story, warrior. It is a shame you failed to see reason.
These old and mutated twins have seized the Oracle's power for themselves and use it to regain their youth for battle.
Tolerate your impudence. You will not see her.
This leads to an intense, multi-phased fight, as Kratos must overcome the powers of time to take them out. Eventually, he is able to defeat both brothers, and reclaims the Oracle's amulet of Ouroboros. He takes it to Aletheia's dying body, but it is too late, as it won't work on her. An illusion of his dead wife temporarily distracts Kratos, but despite his clouded and conflicted mind, the Oracle provides Kratos with the truth he seeks.
Enemies. Innocent. Kin. Your bond is complete. What's done is done. It cannot be undone.
The Furies infect your mind because you run from your oath to Ares. They will stop at nothing should you resist.
So the Shade speaks the truth.
In order to break free from the bond to Ares, Kratos must kill the Furies. But to do so, he must reach the Lantern of Delos, to obtain the Oracle's Eyes of Truth, which were taken from her and hidden away. Kratos takes her amulet and continues his journey. The amulet can now be used in both exploration and in battle. While venturing, decaying or broken ruins can be reversed in time, allowing for a new path to cross, while broken chests can be reformed and looted. In battle, enemies can be slowed down, allowing for quick combos and massive damage. With this, a whole new level of puzzle solving is unlocked, as Kratos makes his way forward, battling enemies, swimming underwater, and discovering chests. After a while, he reaches the harbor, where he finds Orcos. Kratos demands to know why Orcos is going against the Furies.
Only a coward hides himself, Orcos.
You know I'm one of the Furies who forged your bond. You would have killed me before I could even speak.
Then tell me, what has brought you to this betrayal of your own kind?
Orcos obliges and informs Kratos of Ares' true intentions.
Is it possible that through all your suffering you still do not understand why you were chosen? Why Ares needed you? Why he still needs you?
Speak clearly.
Oh, Kratos. The god of war has been plotting for years. I was brought forth by the joining of the War God and the Fury Queen. In rage and insanity, Ares hoped to conceive the perfect warrior. But I was only a disappointment to him. It was my mothers who spared me. They gave me the task of keeping the oaths. Although my burden was great, I was determined to be of service to those who said they loved me. But it was you, Kratos. It was the final task of your bond that made me question the actions of my family. I sought counsel with Aletheia. It was she who revealed to me the plot of Ares to overthrow Zeus. But he needed the perfect warrior. Ares molded you to take down the very walls of Olympus.
Ares, destroy my enemies, and my life is yours!
To make you beholden only to him, Ares and my mothers devised 3 blood tasks. Spill the blood of your enemies. The blood of the innocent. The blood of your very...
The past is the past, Orcos.
past you now seek to rectify.
And I will do so without the aid of a Fury.
Despite this revelation, Kratos is determined to see things through on his own, and the game cuts back to the present day.
As Kratos looked upon the gem, he realized all he need do was fight the forces that gnawed at his mind. His thoughts now clear, the warrior turned his rage to the remaining Furies and their ultimate defeat.
As Kratos stands over the dead body of Megara, he sets his sights on the remaining Furies. As he continues, Kratos is welcomed back with open arms and honor. However, he easily sees right through this illusion, and even has an appropriate "this is Sparta" moment, kicking Tisiphone and snapping back into reality.
So, there is something you value more than ambition.
She flees yet again, as Kratos follows after her. The usual platforming, puzzle solving, and battling ensues, until Kratos reaches a chamber with a dead martyr. Treating this body poorly will reward a trophy. Along the way, Kratos will come across the Scribe of Hecatoncheires, the first ever prisoner of the Furies, who is still trapped there.
You're the Spartan that Orcus talked about, aren't you? Definitely need to get this down. Definitely need to get this down.
What do you know of the Oathkeeper?
I know he paid for what he's done. They say he was the first marked one, but his father didn't like the way he turned out. I know. I was the first man to be put here by the Furies. See? I've been keeping a record. Orcus was born here. Then his mothers, they became... They used to be fair. Harsh, but fair. Had something to do with Ares, I imagine. The way they treated him. Oh, their own son.
That is no reason to betray your own.
Betrayed his own? Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Barely clinging to what little sanity remains, he writes down the actions of the Furies on the walls in his cell. Finally, Kratos reaches Tisiphone and rips an object from her creature's body before she retreats even further.
Not that you have my son's toy. It is your heart that will betray you.
This causes the game to flash back once more, this time to 2 weeks earlier.
Kratos knew he was close. Close to a time when illusion would have no power over him. Close to the defeat of the Furies, and finally, close to the freedom.
As Kratos' ship sails towards Delos, they find a giant statue of Apollo built by Archimedes, but it is in pieces. Immediately upon landing at Delos, Kratos is attacked by many enemies. He takes these out and makes his way to the foot of Apollo. He fights his way through the many pieces of the broken statue until spotting the lantern in the distance. Continuing towards it, Kratos experiences an allusion to his time as a general.
You leave an army in disarray. Return to us, General. Lead us to victory.
You do not exist. You are of my mind.
Return to your roots. Return to who you are, Spartan.
We only mean to bring you home.
My home is in Sparta!
The source is Megara, who Kratos proceeds to attack. We then learn how she lost her arm, and the illusion is broken.
Out of my way! Let me show you how it's done!
Tisiphone then arrives, and Kratos must battle both Furies at once.
I will kill you myself! Come, sister! Together we will defeat this monster! It is pointless to keep him alive! He must die!
During the course of battle, a giant sea monster pulls the lantern into the depths, while Kratos stands over Tisiphone. Kratos proceeds to kill her as Alecto arrives.
It is time, Kratos. Return to your rightful place. Perhaps, if you serve your purpose well, you will even end up on Olympus one day.
It turns out, this was yet another illusion, as Tisiphone is alive and well. When all hope looks lost, Orkos arrives and teleports Kratos away, sparing him from the Fury's wrath.
You will never reach the eyes now that my mothers know you are after them. This power helped me escape Hecatoncheires.
And what will happen to you?
If you do not succeed, my fate is sealed regardless.
Knowing the Furies will not let him live, Orkos gifts Kratos his Oath Stone, which allows him to be in 2 places at once. The Oath Stone can now be used in both exploration and battle. During exploration, Kratos can make a copy of himself to hold objects in place or stand on pressure plates, opening up a whole new layer of puzzle solving. While in battle, using the stone will make a copy of Kratos that can fight alongside him or distract enemies to take incoming attacks. With this new ability, Kratos continues his journey as he looks for a new way to reach the lantern. Along the way, he will encounter the Screw of Archimedes, which utilizes the Oath Stone to reach the top. A trophy will be earned here if you can reach the top without taking any damage from the fire traps. From here, Kratos continues to climb within the statue of Apollo, battling and puzzle solving along the way. He even comes across the long-dead body of Archimedes before finally reaching the shoulder of Apollo. From here, he fights off waves of enemies to allow access to the lantern. Using the amulet, he can retrieve the lantern from the sea. Now reachable, Kratos slides his way back down Apollo. There is a trophy here associated with this section, if you can survive the entire slide without dying. After even more fighting, climbing and puzzle solving, Kratos fully repairs the Apollo statue. From within the head, Kratos reaches the very top of the statue and attempts to reach the lantern. He makes a death-defying leap and crashes his way into the lantern itself. Here, he spots the Eyes of Truth, and Orkos returns. Orkos provides some more background details to Kratos, who now must solve some complex and elaborate puzzles to gain access to the Eyes.
Inside there are the Eyes of Truth, the very same eyes my mother's ruthlessly pulled from Aletheia. I learned of the plot between my parents to overthrow Olympus. I could not believe Aletheia's words. Then she showed me the truth. That the god of war would bring down the very walls of Olympus. I knew I must stop them. Aletheia and I sought to warn Zeus. But when Ares learned of our attempt, he sent my mothers after us. The eyes were brutally ripped from my beloved. She became a prisoner in her own temple. Ares and my mothers knew that if the Eyes of Truth were hidden, then their wicked plot would not be revealed. Then soon they would reign over the gods themselves.
Unfortunately, Archimedes has put some barriers in place to prevent the Eyes from being taken. This includes the extremely difficult Gauntlet of Archimedes, in which multiple waves of enemies confront Kratos, usually within confined spaces with environmental hazards all around. On hard difficulty, this encounter took many tries and was the hardest combat challenge yet. many, many deaths and barely escaping alive, Kratos is now ready to confront the remaining Furies and gain his freedom. As he approaches the Furies, he sees Orkos is captured, allowing Alecto to seize the eyes of truth.
We have special plans for you, my son.
All this effort and you still fail.
Tisiphone steals the Oathstone and traps Kratos. The Furies return Kratos to the Hecatoncheires and attempt to persuade him to rejoin Ares.
Kratos found himself defeated, and this time no Olympian would come to his aid. Satisfied, the sisters returned home with their prize. Within the walls of their prison, they would delve into the broken warrior's soul and entice Kratos back to his place as a servant of Ares.
This ties everything back to the very beginning, with Kratos bound by chains, before then showing Kratos right after he reacquired the Oathstone from Tisiphone.
It has been too long.
Never again.
Kratos pursues the Furies and is again confronted by intense illusions and temptations of his past.
I have been away far too long.
You can see her in the morning. Come.
In time, you will forget. All that you have lost can be yours once again. If this is what keeps you in service to Lord Ares, then this is what you shall have.
However, he has no intentions of serving Ares, even if it means getting back those he lost. Kratos confronts Alecto, and the final battle ensues. This is an intense, multi-phase, large-scale battle that sees Kratos fight Alecto and her giant sea creature, as well as Tisiphone and her flying beast.
your brothers will offer mercy. There is no escape. You bring this on yourself, Spartan! You are not the... You will pay for taking Adira's life!
Eventually, Kratos emerges victorious and kills Tisiphone.
You are not fit to be called a Spartan. I lost everything because of you.
They were not there by chance, Kratos!
You think you want truth, but truth will only bring you pain!
Despite one last desperate illusion, Alecto falls to his hand as well.
My death will not free you from this madness!
Back outside his home, Kratos meets Orkos, but things are not as they seem. Although the Furies are dead, Kratos is still bound to Ares. Alecto made Orcos Oathkeeper yet again, and there is only one option remaining.
For you to be free, I must die by your hand.
I do not understand.
If you do not release me, my father will retain power over you, but even worse, I will live in eternal torture.
I have spilled enough innocent blood.
There is no other way, Spartan. Destroy the Oath. Kill Ares. Have your revenge. I was never the warrior my father wanted me to be. But please, all I ask, give me an honorable death.
Kratos does what he must, but this opens up his mind to things long forgotten.
With the death of Orcos, the blood oath to Ares was finally broken, and the painful truth rushed back to Kratos' mind. The truth of the murder he committed, the slaughter of his wife and child, the carnage forged from his relentless ambition, surfaced in perfect clarity, and became the visions that would haunt him all of his days.
Distraught and desperate to rid his mind of these painful memories, Kratos decides to commit himself to the servitude of the gods, and the game ends.
Now free of the Furies' madness, but still tortured by the truth of his past, Kratos left the only home he'd ever known and set out to undo all that he had wrought.
At this point, you will have all story-related trophies, and luckily, God of War Ascension doesn't have the notoriously difficult Challenge of the Gods that the previous games did. However, the story must be completed on hard mode for the Platinum, and this more than made up for the lack of Challenge of the Gods. In God of War Ascension, Kratos is not the overpowered beast he is in the later games, and you really feel it. His magic is relatively weak, and magic pickups from defeated enemies are extremely scarce in normal combat. You will be killed many times throughout your playthrough as you slowly master the enemy encounters and gameplay mechanics. If struggling, I suggest playing the story on normal to familiarize yourself with the various enemies and encounters. But if this is not your first God of War rodeo, you can hop straight into hard, as the difficulty trophies do stack, but it will be no easy task even for veterans. In past games, I felt like I could, in typical Kratos fashion, brute force my way through more difficult battles, but doing so here was not so easy, and required a more strategic approach. Compared to the original God of War, and its incredibly frustrating Challenge of the Gods, God of War Ascension was, in my opinion, actually more challenging. This is because the gameplay and enemy encounters are tougher, and required a more strategic mastery of the combat, while Challenge of the Gods was just unfair. Each of the magical abilities had its own set of attacks and perks, with a unique reward when defeating enemies, providing a customizable approach to the various encounters and finding what works best for your playstyle. However, as the game progressed and you unlocked more abilities, Kratos began to feel more familiar as he became more powerful. It just took a while to get there, as most of the normal magic attacks were not available right away and had to be unlocked at later levels. This definitely offered a new perspective and was a welcome challenge, as completing the game was definitely frustrating and rage-inducing at times, but truly felt rewarding, and the Platinum was well earned. With enough practice and repetition, you can master the combat and enemy encounters. In addition to the story trophies, God of War Ascension does have some combat-related trophies. None of these were too bad, and most would happen naturally as you progress. These include things such as using the different available attacks to a grappled enemy, using all-world weapons, ring out an enemy with the club, slowing 100 enemies with the amulet, keeping the rage meter filled for 2 minutes, and spilling 500 buckets of blood, to name a few. The most difficult is probably to get a 1000-hit combo, but there is a specific location in the beginning of Chapter 19 that you could use to cheese it. This takes a while, but using the R1 and square attack over and over on the boulder will eventually get to 1000. There are also a few level-specific trophies that I mentioned earlier, and these are tasks such as completing Archimedes' screw without getting hit by the flames, and completing the slide in the statue of Apollo without dying. Another section of trophies are collectible related, and these include fully upgrading Kratos, which entails finding all the Phoenix feathers and Gorgon eyes and utilizing the extra red orbs to level up all weapons and magic. You also need to find all artifacts and reconstruct all broken chests. Unfortunately, God of War Ascension does have a multiplayer trophy. While the actual trophy is extremely easy and only requires completion of training, online access does require an online pass. Popular at the time of release, online passes were a way to charge additional money for multiplayer access. Unique to each game, these generally cost around $10, and as of 2023, was still available for God of War Ascension. If going for the Platinum, get this trophy while the servers are still active, but just know in advance you will have to purchase an online pass. Overall, God of War Ascension was another excellent game in the God of War series. As the earliest chronologically, it was a different perspective, as Kratos had not yet come into his own with limitless power, and the hard difficulty was exactly that. The gameplay was smooth, as the combos naturally flowed into each other, and the magic abilities could be swapped seamlessly, offering a wide array of attack patterns. The enemies were definitely tanky, and a greater focus on blocking and countering was necessary, even on easier difficulties. The enemies didn't stagger easily, but you could be knocked from a combo as they powered through your attack. There was a wonderful combination of classic creatures from Greek mythology and original concepts. The boss fights were massive, large-scale battles, such as against the Hecatoncheires, but also tactical, like when fighting the Furies. The graphics were beautifully detailed with immersive environments, and of course, the usual God of War carnage. The story was a welcome addition, as it provided some background details on why Ares accepted Kratos' plea from the original game, and why he tricked Kratos into killing his family, other than Ares just being a dick. I recommend this game for any God of War fan, as it is a worthy prequel that showcases a unique version of Kratos, prior to him becoming the crazy powerful one we know from the earlier games. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time for Platinum Review number 13.
This is Sparta!